We are now halfway through this Canadian Premier League season, and what a season it has been so far. Very clearly, we have a divide between the top half of the league and the bottom half of the league. It looks like the playoffs, in terms of the teams that are going to make it at least, is already all but set. But there still is a lot to play for, with half the season still to play, and with half the season still to play, things very easily could change. Here's how all the teams rank out at the halfway point of the season. 8th and last place, we have Valour FC. Another completely disastrous season for Valour. I know I said I liked some of what they were building during the offseason. Yeah, like Chris Twardek has been a good addition, and Femi Antonoglu is still decent, and yeah, they had some additions that have performed. However, it is another disastrous season for Valour. Dead last in the CPL in goals for, with fewer goals for than games played, averaging less than a goal a game, and 32 goals against, making them the worst defense in the CPL, with one less game played than most other teams. It's just been a complete disaster of a season for Valour. This is a team that needs an overhaul across the board. There is no position which this team excels at. Offensively, they're terrible. Defensively, they're terrible. Yet, somehow, despite all of that, they came very close to beating the Vancouver Whitecaps in the Canadian Championship quarterfinals. So obviously, when this team is locked in and all playing for something, they can compete, but just overall, in every position, they're nowhere near the level of quality of the rest of the Canadian Premier League. Level on points with Vancouver FC. If they get a point out of their next match, they're actually not the worst team in the league, but this team needs a complete change in identity at the bare minimum for them to be successful. And again, this season's another write-off, and the fans in Winnipeg deserve better. This is the only original CPL team that has never made the playoffs, so hopefully they can finally turn around for next season, but something needs to change in Winnipeg, because this is just disastrous season after disastrous season for Valour. Vancouver FC sits in 7th. They're only ahead of Valour on goal differential and have played one more game. It has not been a good season for Vancouver FC. They have not improved despite what a lot of people were hoping for them this season. Nicholas Mosqueda with 3 goals has been a great addition in the midfield, but besides him, this team is really not getting much offensively. Taryn Campbell, who they brought in the offseason, has been a complete disappointment, only scoring 1 goal throughout the first half of the season. He is very quickly going to get caught in the CPL all-time goal-scoring table if he doesn't start scoring more goals soon. And also, we just haven't seen an increase in performance from the youth from Vancouver. This is a team that has always been hyping up their youth, and again, another season where we feel like maybe the next step's going to get taken by some of their young guys, and it just doesn't happen. Like, yeah, they lost James Cameron and Grady McDonald in the offseason, who were guys who could have taken steps up. But even the guys who are here for a couple seasons, Tahid, Ba, Campagna, it just doesn't seem like there's been a step up across the board from your young players, which, when you're a young team like Vancouver was the past couple seasons, is required for you to continue to do better. Another team that's going to need to see changes across the board to be competitive, and another team that already is basically out of the playoff contention this season. In 6th place, we have Pacific FC. Now, Pacific FC have barely been better than Vancouver and Valour this season. In fact, the only reason why they're ahead of them in the standings is that they're reliably beating those teams while losing to pretty much all the teams above them in the standings. Now, Pacific have scored 1 more goal than Vancouver FC and have the same number of goals against. Offensively, they've gotten no goals from Marco Bustos, which obviously was a disappointment. Bringing him back, they thought they were going to be bringing back a Player of the Year caliber player, and obviously he hasn't been living up to that hype on his return to the island. And also losing Ronan Krat so early in the season. I mean, he came out of the gate flying for Pacific, and losing him 5 games into the season was a massive loss for them. But you can't blame this entire season on the Krat injury. Now, they're not fully out of it. They are just 6 points behind York United for that last playoff spot. This is a Pacific team that gets a lot of their home games in the first part of the season and then kind of has it settle out later on. So usually Pacific starts off higher in the standings and falls off as the season goes on. They need to crank it up now in the back half if they want a shot to make the playoffs. Is it doable? Yes. Is it likely? I mean, York's gotten a lot better, and those teams ahead of York all are just so good. I don't see Pacific getting near the playoffs this season unless they start scoring goals. In 5th place, we have York United. What a turnaround for York. They were in last a quarter of the way into the season. Since that moment, they've won 4 and only lost 1 of their last 7 games. Julian Altobelli continues to be the talk of the town. 8 goals this season, which sits him 2nd in Canadian Premier League goals, just behind behind Sam Salter. With 22 goals for, they're right behind Forge for the third best offense in the league. 20 goals against, though, that's their main problem, is they concede too much to truly be one of the big boys, but they definitely are a wild card contender in this league. On any given day, they could beat anyone. It's just getting it done consistently that is their issue, and also trying to bring down those number of goals against. If they can get more consistent and concede fewer goals, they are right up there with the top of the league. In fourth place, Cavalry FC. The defending champions with just 11 goals against are joint top in the league with Forge for the best defense. On top of that, the offensive trio of Warshawski, Musi, and Camargo have combined for 14 goals. Fantastic front three those guys have been. Musi and Warshawski doing exactly what was expected of them. Camargo having a fantastic season, really stepping up his game in the offensive category this year. And obviously, with only conceding 11 goals, it looks like the worry of having Dan Klomp leave has been pretty much mitigated, as this Cavalry defense is still standing strong. This Cavalry team throughout half the season has proven once again that they are very strong and are definitely a contender in the CPL this season. They're just not quite at the level of the likes of Ottawa and Forge so far, and thus are sitting in fourth. In third, we have the Halifax Wanderers. The Wanderers are officially back after a very disappointing 2024. They are right back to where they were in 2023 in this 2025 season. That revamped back line, the entire back four plus keeper being changed out, working wonders for this Halifax team. In addition, Thiago Coimbra has 7 goals this season, which puts him tied for third in the league, but he's only played 573 minutes. That is an insane goal per minute pace in the CPL, and he is having a Player of the Year caliber season, definitely putting himself in contention for that award, and really is being an X factor for Halifax this season. Now, overall, as the whole season shakes out, they may end up being not as good as Cavalry, but they definitely are putting themselves in a position where they will be hosting a playoff game this fall, barring a massive fall apart. And for this Halifax fans and this Halifax team, that is a well-deserved honor to both be in contention to win the CPL, and B, they need to be hosting playoff games with the crowd and fans they have. Great season so far for the Wanderers, but yet again, like with Cavalry, they're just not at the level of these top two. Second place, we have Forge FC. Forge have done something incredible. They are undefeated through the first half of the season. They are halfway to an invincible season in the Canadian Premier League, something that I did not think was possible, and yet they are a lot closer to it than I ever thought was possible. Just 11 goals against. This Forge defense has been incredible, tied for the best in the league with Cavalry. 24 goals for, 7 of which have come from Brian Wright. I said it all last season after Poku left. If this Forge team had a true striker, they probably would have won the championship last season. And Brian Wright has come as advertised, 7 goals, tied for third in the league so far through the first half of the season. Now, how can this team be invincible and be second place in the league through half? Well, they've drawn 7 of their 14 games. The problem that this Forge team has is they seem to score with their opponents. Most of their games are either draws or 1-goal wins. They haven't shown that pure dominance. It doesn't matter who they're playing. Like, they could be playing Valour or Halifax and they'll either tie or win by a goal. They're getting the job done. They're not showing pure dominance week in and week out. And that right there is what's keeping them behind Ottawa in the standings. I know it's rare to say, oh, a team's been invincible, but they could have been better. This Forge team just is very weird because they have drawn half of their games. And over the course of the whole season, that's a lot of dropped points. And that's the reason why they are invincible, but not first. And in first place, we have Atletico Ottawa. 31 goals for this Ottawa team through 14 matches. They are on pace to demolish the CPL goal record for goals in a season by a team. The record was set back in 2019 in the inaugural season by Cavalry FC when they scored 51 goals through 28 games. This Ottawa team is on pace for 62. They're not just going to beat the record, they're going to destroy it. Sam Salter has 9 goals through 14 matches this season, top of the league. David Rodriguez, 5 goals, 5 assists, still very much in the Player of the Year conversation. And Valour FC has also turned it on in the past 7 games. He's up to 5 goals on the season as well. The defense, which I did criticize a little bit through the first quarter of the season has settled into a better rhythm. They're now the third best defense in the league, conceding just 16 goals. Very young defense has definitely settled in quite well, and it helps that, you know, the team controls a lot of the ball pushing forward. But strong defense, the best offense this league has ever seen. This Ottawa team is just so good, only losing one game this season away to Halifax. And at the top, Forge and Ottawa combined have only lost one game. This Forge versus Ottawa race isn't just a race to be the best CPL team this season, it's a race to be the best CPL team ever. So that does it for this halfway recap. What a half of CPL soccer it has been. A credible race at the top of the table as Forge and Ottawa are just two titans going at it. It should be a great back half to see if all these teams can keep up the paces that they're currently at, and that should lead to an even better playoff. So that is it for this video. As always, if you'd like to hit like, if you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.